everyone, and welcome to episode 43 of the Nerdy Things Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kevin. I am joined, as always, by Jules. Hey, Jules.
Heyo.
And by Tim. What's going on, Tim?
What's up, Kevin? How's it going this morning?
It's going pretty good.
Guys.
What do you got, Jules? Oh, God. You're going to strain your neck trying to look at us, Jules. We're not actually there. You know that, right?
Oh, okay. No,
right.
Well, it's for our YouTube. It's for our viewers. It's giving them context.
When I see you guys, you're both to my right.
Yeah.
So,
No,
okay, I'm just throwing that
I
out
know.
there.
I just know where I'm going to put
effect.
the videos when I'm done putting it together, Tim.
Anyways.
Okay, Kev.
It's my birthday.
It is. Happy birthday, Jules.
26.
Happy birthday to you.
No, don't do that. Oh, God.
Oh,
Happy
boy.
birthday to
I wanted
you.
to know. I had a question. 'Cause
Happy
I'm 26.
birthday, Jules
your
the
question?
human. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Tim. That's going to
You're
come out on Spotify and iTunes everywhere.
You can do a jazzy
Where were
version if
you
want.
at? Where were y'all at when y'all were 26? When y'all were my age? Were y'all super nerdy? The same? No, I don't know.
No. I was actually a Republican, and I worked in as an accountant. And what do you think? Jeez,
I'm just asking. What were y'all? What year was it? What were y'all doing?
It was 90s.
'Cause y'all are old?
I'm sorry. It was 2006 when I was 26, and I was the same. Really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
Cool. This is what I have to look forward to. Yay!
Yes. Welcome.
It was
to your future.
2008. It was 2008. The economy was crashing.
Oh God.
And I had just started a 100% commissioned job. It was fantastic. But
Hooray.
I was in great shape. I used to work out like a
I
fiend and run like frickin' what do you call it? Like those adventure races and stuff like that. It was, just always going. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I got to get back to the gym. When I was 24, I was like buff. I used to go to the gym every day. It was great. Now I'm fat. Ugh.
It's all good. Well, now that we have video on the podcast, I don't know if it's that good, but when it was audio podcast, we were all good. All three of us.
Nobody knew.
Yeah, that's my birthday.
I'm still
So
gorgeous,
I'm pretty stoked.
whatever.
Okay, everybody, but Tim.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. So this is the podcast. Welcome to it. We're the Nerdy Boys, and we talk about a bunch of nerdy things. So this is going to be a little different. So we do the nerdy news pretty much every week, and then we do a main topic at the end. But this week we had an interview with a fantastic director, and he's gonna. I think Tim and Kevin can talk a little bit more about it later on, but they did an interview with him and they got to talk to him, and I'm really excited because I wasn't there. I'm really excited to see and hear what went on. So stay tuned for that. He's gonna be talking about his new movie that's possibly gonna be coming out next year or something like that. And
We really have no idea when it's coming out.
Sure.
Because they're on a wild goose hunt. Wild goose chase. They're trying to find needles in a haystack of needles is how it was described by the archaeologist on it.
But there's a chance.
They're committed to doing what they want to achieve. So at some point, we'll see it.
Very cool.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
So don't forget, you can reach us on most social media at NerdyThingsPod. That's NerdyThingsPod. You can send an email at nerdythingspod@gmail.com. Visit our website, nerdythingspod.com, for the latest nerdy news updated daily and links to our merch for shirts and more. Speaking of merch, on the merch thing, we did a whole another merch design for this week, and it's going to be kind of themed on his movie. There's going to be some roses on it. It should be available to you either Thursday or Friday, but it's going to be our name and it's going to have some roses. It looks really nice. I really like it. It's a little different. So if you want to check that out, go ahead and go to nerdythingspod.com. There's links to YouTube to watch the podcast episodes because we're doing it in video as well, and our Patreon for extra content like bloopers and early access to stuff. So we've been using our YouTube a little bit more. We've been Tim and Kevin have been putting up videos, and if you're a patron on our Patreon, you get to see those first, probably about a day or so ahead. And it's the same for our actual podcast. You get to hear our podcast about a day before anybody else. So if you want to become a patron, it's at least $1 a month. Super easy. And you can also text us or leave us a voicemail, 978-78-NERDY, and that's 978-786-3739. I had to burp right there. I'm sorry. Cut that out. So yeah, those are all the ways you can reach us. We're pretty much everywhere. Go talk to us and get on the Twitters to interact with us.
Yeah, speaking of the phone number, check out our latest Instagram post. It came to our attention that Dr. Mario was really practicing without a license. In 1989, he was a plumber. In 1990, he's writing prescriptions. So if you've been hurt or wronged by Dr. Mario, the offices of Hunt, Escobedo, and Howe take your complaints very seriously. So call us, leave us a message, tell us what Dr. Mario's done to you, and we'll get you retribution.
Show us on the video game cartridge where he touched you.
Show us on the amiibo.
Yeah, very nice.
Anyways, let's go.
All right, time for the nerdy news.
Nerdy news. Boop, 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 boop.
All right, so this week we're going to start off by talking about House of Cards and how they have decided, Netflix has decided they're going to move forward and do season 6 without Kevin Spacey. So they have basically just cut him out. They're going to move forward. I believe they're going to kill his character off, sort of off screen. And,
he gonna die.
He's
Yeah.
going down.
I could have sworn they had already announced that. Like that was already a thing.
This was speculation prior to this, but now this is the official announcement of it. So it is going to basically mirror what they did in the UK version of this show and just kill him off. So I'm with it. I think that's going to work. I think we need to finish this because I'd hate to see a show that was so popular just stop because the lead actor is a monster. Give some closure. Really, let's
Sure.
finish this out. They're also, Netflix is not going to release the movie that they had with him. I think it's called Gore. Just scrapped that completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so.
I didn't see on our list anything, but while we're talking about that, they even they're gonna write out Danny Masterson from their Netflix show because of all the accusations for him. Yeah, whatever. Whoever was watching that, whatever. But
they didn't handle that as eloquently or as smoothly as they did the Kevin Spacey thing, though.
Because these have been accusations for a really long time in Scientology and all that stuff. But at least Netflix is doing some stuff right, or at least they're trying. I don't know. They could have done better, but they're doing
Well,
a
it's
thing.
a tough situation, really. I mean,
Sure.
You've got so many people involved in these creative processes that we now know are pretty awful. And what are you going to do? Because you don't want to, like Kevin said, you don't want to halt what we've enjoyed and, starve us of the endings. But also, there's hundreds of people in employ because of these actors as well. So, I mean, House of Cards is a huge production. I'm sure The Ranch is a little smaller because it's a sitcom-y kind of thing, but House of Cards is a huge production. There's hundreds of people in employ because of that show, and it would be a shame for them to all lose their job and incomes unexpectedly because of how horrible Kevin Spacey is. But I think doing what they're doing is the best course of action. They took steps. They said, let's shut things down for a while. Let's talk to people, see how they feel about it. And, Claire Underwood was fast becoming the most compelling character on that show anyways. So I don't think that this is going to... I mean, obviously, I loved the Kevin Spacey character. He really did... I'm not going to stop praising Kevin Spacey for the performances that he had because that's like erasing history and saying I didn't like the Cosby Show, But Kevin Spacey's character was amazing. And he was great in it, but over the last couple seasons, Claire was fast becoming the star, and I think they'll be fine continuing down that road.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting story to see how this works out.
No, it's exactly right. And Netflix, I mean, we knew this was coming. This is another thing. They have officially renewed Stranger Things for season 3.
Whoa, yay.
Right? Oh,
finally.
No,
Shocker.
I didn't see that. No, it's true. It's been coming forever. I mean, the Duffer Brothers have said they have a plan for 4 seasons. It would be insane to think that Netflix isn't going to run them as long as they want to run.
Sure. And weren't they already... I thought they were already doing shoots for it because the kids are young and they want to get, the same... Or was that... No.
I think that was season 2 because they're definitely talking about a little bit of a time jump for season 3 because the kids are older.
Sure.
And it's going to be tough to age them down. But even so, even if they were working on it, that's not necessarily unusual because someone would pick this up for a third season regardless. You know,
Well, if it's coming out every year, though, I don't see the need to really age them down per se, because the story is jumping a year as well. You know,
Sure.
we just went through 2 separate school years. They came out annually, so they aged appropriately, you know, based on the actual timeline.
Yeah, but the kids are now 27 years old in real life. And this
Oh,
a
is that what
wacky
happened? I didn't
situation.
realize
Yeah.
that.
You missed that part.
Yeah,
It's
no,
2017.
It's exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they did the same kind of thing with Harry Potter, and it worked out really well, where like for the first 3 movies, at least, you know, when you're between 11 and 15, it's really, you start to age pretty rapidly. And then I think 16, 17, 18, 19, it slows down a little bit. So with Harry Potter, they shot the first 3, I think, you know, 1 year right after the other, so it stayed appropriate. And then they kind of took their time, because it's like, well, 21 can play 18, you know, it happens.
Sure.
It's how it works.
Oh, man,
So yeah,
that
I mean, doing it as quickly as possible makes a lot of sense to me.
That 4th movie, man, those hairstyles were great. When everybody was going through their thing, that 4th movie was like that weird age. It's great. I love
All
it.
that
man.
long hair going.
Yeah.
If only everyone could age like Neville did. I mean,
Oh, well,
Right.
that's just how you do growing up right there. I mean,
Growing up right.
like, look, let's write an encyclopedia, put a little blurb in there. It's like, how do you grow up? Boom, Neville Longbottom.
Yeah.
he's the anti-Kevin. He went from fat to fit. The opposite of what I did. It's almost like he got a new body, you know,
Oh.
like the Netflix series Altered Carbon that's coming out, based on a bunch of books, sci-fi books, classic sci-fi books that I've never read, and I am ashamed to
No.
say. Basically, it's a sci-fi series starring Joel Kinnaman, the guy from RoboCop, who's also, I believe, the guy in Bright with Will Smith, that they've been
nice.
pushing for 13 years now.
Yeah, that hasn't come out.
That hasn't come out yet. But that actually looks spectacular. It's about the future where death has been conquered because they can just kind of slot your consciousness into another body. Did you guys watch that trailer? I think Jules, you did.
Yeah, it
I
looks
did not
really
watch it.
interesting. No, I mean it looks Matrix-esque with the whole bodies in like a little.
Yeah.
Well, this is a little different because it's in a vacuum sealed package. But I was like, whoa, this is really interesting. What's gonna happen? I mean, I always love those sort of things, the sci-fi things when they're dealing with death or life. I mean, we talked about Blade Runner, how that talked about what's really living, how
and
can
this
you.
reminded me of that scene too,
Sure.
when Jared Leto opened up the sack and the body came flying out.
Yeah. It was super interesting. I really dig that kind of stuff. So that's probably something I'm definitely going to check out. Altered Carbon. The trailer's out there right now, and it looks super fun. I mean, I might look into the books, but I'll wait till the Netflix show comes out. Some other trailers that have been coming out periodically that they have not announced a 4th season for is Black Mirror, and which is really ridiculous. They've released, I think, 3 or 4 Black Mirror trailers for each of the episodes, and
Yeah, those are interesting.
they have not announced a date when it's coming out. The new season's coming out. We already know it's on Netflix, so it's going to be a Netflix thing. They haven't said anything about it. Netflix is
I
just
watched
doing stuff.
2 of those and hated them.
Oh God, I've never seen a trailer for Black Mirror. I just watched the whole episode, so I don't know. Yeah, maybe the trailer's kind of weird, but
No, I watched 2
There was like a
episodes.
space
You guys
bar.
told me it
2
was something I
episodes,
had to
yeah.
watch.
Oh,
My wife
you
was out
hated
of
the
town. I
show?
said, guys, what do I have to watch?
I
And
thought you
you're
meant you
Black
hated the
Mirror.
trailer.
No. I watched 2 episodes.
We haven't
and
talked
I
about this.
hated
Why did you
them.
hate it?
Because I hated them and I didn't want to talk about it.
Because he hated them,
no.
he chose poorly. It's fine.
I chose,
You chose the wrong
poorly.
episodes.
You chose.
No, you
poorly.
told me which ones to watch.
I
And
know.
I watched them,
And
and
you
I'm
chose
like,
to listen
these-
to us. You chose poorly.
They're really
Yeah,
good.
there was no point to either of them. They just
Oh man,
did,
come on.
They're supposed to-
and I gleaned nothing from them. They
It's in your
seemed like they
head.
wanted to be deep and mysterious and impactful, and yet they weren't.
Oh boy.
Ooh,
Well, Tim Super Tweets, tell him why he's wrong on the Twitters, and let him know that Black Mirror is an amazing show and he should finish it. So, yeah, those are all the cool stuff that Netflix is doing. I know Netflix took down some stuff. I think it's rumored that they took down It's Always Sunny, but then now Guardians 2 is on Netflix. There's a whole lot of back and forths on what's on Netflix and what's not. Go check it out. Go check out the lists to see if your favorite show's still on there or if something really cool's out there, because I know Guardians is out there now. So
it's
cool.
a pet peeve of mine is how difficult it is to figure out what is and isn't on Netflix. They used to have an RSS feed that you could just, like I used to slot it into my RSS reader and get an update every time they put something
that's
on
really
Netflix.
Cool.
It used to show up in their feed. And then they were like, oh, yeah, no, we're not doing that anymore. Sorry. And just stopped that. And I don't understand why. It's not like it takes really any effort to keep up an RSS feed. It's automatic. There's no problem.
Was there too many titles? Would it tell you like every singular title, like this title's on Netflix now? Boom, like a whole actual thing. There's too many. There's too many coming and going all the time.
But that's just it. I mean, this is the type of thing where if somebody wants that information, it's great. Like it really was. It was wonderful. Now I have no idea what comes to Netflix. You never could tell what leaves Netflix. It's all rumor and speculation and behind the scenes.
A million articles every month, like a bunch of websites that want you to just click on them. I think that's how they make their living. And it's what's coming to and what's leaving Netflix. You can definitely find it. Wrong.
Every time it's like, oh, this is leaving Netflix. Like 3 days later, it's like the T Public sales. 3 days later, it's back on Netflix.
Well, that stuff happens. It comes back. Like they constantly have an in and out. But I'll tell you the thing with Netflix. I love Netflix. We talk about Netflix all the time, and their original content is at this point the best in the business. Hulu and Amazon are doing really good stuff too, but right now, as it stands, Netflix is the best in the business. But they're starting to rely more on that. And if I want to find a movie, like if it used to be if I wanted to watch a movie on streaming, I'd go to Netflix, right? If I want a movie, I'm going to Amazon first. I'm going to Hulu second. I'm going to Netflix third.
That's exactly
Unless it's a Disney movie or a Marvel movie that I know I can get. But if I'm just going to be like, I'm in the mood for a movie tonight, Amazon's my first choice. So Netflix has shifted, and they're definitely the number one destination for original content, which leaves it so you need to subscribe to them specifically. So maybe that's a smart move because in a changing landscape, they know you have to come back to them. But if you're just someone who likes movies, they're not your first choice anymore.
Nope. Not at all. Let me see. Quentin Tarantino has a Star Trek movie. So Quentin Tarantino has a pitch for a Star Trek movie. Which I don't know if I care about. I'm not sure. Like Quentin Tarantino has always been a weird director for me. And I don't know how I feel about him getting into this sort of Star Trek sci-fi genre.
First off, he has a whole thing with Harvey Weinstein because they were like super best bros, and apparently he knew some stuff about it. So I'm still kind of mad at Tarantino about that. But separating the art from the artist, I love his movies. He is like one of my favorite directors ever. And I'm not a Star Trek fan, but I think if he switches the way he makes movies, the way it's all super blood and gore and all that stuff, I definitely think storytelling wise, it could be a compelling movie.
See, I think the blood and gore could actually add to a Star Trek
movie.
No. See, here's the thing. A lot of people get bent out of shape in what is and isn't Star Trek. And I think it's because at the core they miss what is Star Trek. You can have a Quentin Tarantino movie set in the Star Trek universe that I would love. My problem with Quentin Tarantino is that he seems to try to introduce a lot of metaphor and subtext and all this other stuff into his movies that either doesn't have to be there or misses the mark, or is just people reading into it, and he goes, "Oh yeah, no, that's what I meant," and I can't tell if he really meant it or not, and that's not the way it should be.
Quentin Tarantino is a big budget art house director.
Yeah,
that's really. I mean, he in his heart of hearts, he's an art house director, and now he just operates on big budgets, and I don't see that fitting into a established sci-fi genre. I do not see this working in any way, shape, or form. If they made this, I just think it would be a absolute garbage disaster.
They said some other people were going to come to his side. Who else is coming to like help him? I remember there were some other people.
Help me, anyone.
Help
You're
me.
my only hope.
There were some other big names attached to the project that might work with him on that, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, where can the Star Trek movies go? Have they been pretty decent lately? Is it?
Oh,
are
yeah.
we
Star Trek
clamoring
movies,
for?
yeah.
it? Yeah.
No, they
But the
really
Star
have
Trek
been.
movies were done by J.J. Abrams, so of course they were freaking amazing.
Right.
This is, that's why they were amazing. Not necessarily because they were Star Trek movies, but because J.J. freaking Abrams was involved and in charge. But Quentin Tarantino in the space. I'm sorry, I don't see it. He stick to your westerns, stick to your bloody samurais, stick to your gritty street dramas. Get on Earth. Don't go in outer space. Stay on the home planet, Quentin. You're not built for outer space, buddy.
Stay in your lane.
Maybe.
Don't be John Cena.
Jeez.
John Cena, the wrestler, not John Cena,
Yes.
the actor who HBO is looking at for Watchmen.
I'm ready. I'm ready for this.
We should just, you know what we should do? We should just have a generic headline in Nerdy News every week. John Cena tapped to play blank. And it doesn't matter what it is because I'm never going to be on board with it unless
Nope.
they're doing a documentary on wrestling. So we should just John Cena tap to play blank because every week there's something new. And every
Pretty
week
much.
I think it's just as ridiculous as the week before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
pretty
apparently
much.
on John Cena's Instagram, there's a fan art of him as Dr. Manhattan from The Watchmen, and apparently people have said that if you look into his Instagram more, it always leads to something. That apparently all of his Instagram pictures lead to things, or whoever's watching his Instagram apparently says that all that stuff. But with this fan art comes some speculation that he's going to be headed to The Watchmen, and he's been said to be working with some people on in talks with people that have already done that are going to be on The Watchmen. So it's probably going to be a thing. And yeah, I don't know. I still have HBO, so
I'm not even
might as
sure
well
I'm on
watch
board
it.
with HBO's Watchmen, let alone John Cena.
I'm not.
being in it.
No.
I'm not sure I'm on board with any Watchmen. After seeing the first one, I really don't think that any Watchmen is appropriately being made.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Hashtag no
It's-
Watchmen.
It's HBO just trying. I mean, they have Westworld.
Yep.
That's about it.
They got Game of Thrones, which
Game of
in
Thrones,
fact,
yeah.
Yeah, apparently they passed on Lord of the Rings because of Game of Thrones. They didn't want to do too much in that genre.
That makes
which
sense.
I get.
Okay.
I mean, that's fine. But no, I think this is just sort of the shotgun method. They're just, HBO's doing Watchmen to see what sticks. They're just trying literally everything. That's why there's 5 Game of Thrones spinoffs. That's why we're getting a Masters
Announced.
of the Universe movie. Announced, yes. But we're getting a He-Man Masters of the Universe movie from director David S. Goyer from Blade Trinity.
Yes, please on the Master of the Universe movie. Every time this comes up, it's yes, please from me. And once again, I still don't know how I feel about the director. But still, it's freaking Masters of the Universe. As long as they don't tap John Cena to play He-Man, I am good
John
with this.
Cena.
John Cena's
He-Man?
Man at Arms. You
Whoa.
got Battle Cat. You got Skeletor. I need Mechaneck. Give me all Skunk. What it was? Whoever the skunk guy was. I don't even remember. I just knew that they had a scratch and sniff hero villain. I want them all. Give them to me.
Dude, I would even take The Rock as He-Man. I totally
God.
buy that.
Okay, The Rock is He-Man.
100%.
The Rock with the blonde bowl cut. Oh my god.
No, see, that's the thing.
I need
You've
Photoshop.
change He-Man. Change He-Man to being The Rock, bald. I'm fine with that. That would be fine. No John Cena. No,
John Cena can pull off
as
the
He-Man.
blonde hair a little bit better.
Jules, shut your mouth and don't ever speak again.
I'm just trying to wish it into the universe.
So this guy, Goyer, confusing resume,
Let's check it out.
right? Have you guys looked into this at all? Kevin knows a little bit, right?
A little bit, yeah.
So he's done the Blade trilogy, right? The first Blade movie was really good. second one and third one not so good, right? Like that's the general consensus.
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
one was pretty good, but it's
He's
like,
also been involved in writing a lot of the recent DC stuff. He was a writer
Yeah.
on,
Yep.
Man of Steel. He was a writer on Batman versus Superman. Man of Steel I liked. Batman versus Superman, not so much. But he was also one of the scribes for the Dark Knight trilogy, which was a great series of movies.
Yeah.
So,
But he also did
got
the
some
story
pretty
for
big
just
hits.
don't
Ghost
know how
Rider.
much he had to do with it.
Well, I know because, obviously that was Christopher Nolan driven, no question about it, but he was still involved. He
He also did the screenplay for Jumper.
which is terrible.
Yeah, he did the Blade, the TV series, which I never watched.
Which was terrible.
There's a ton of Blade stuff, a ton of interesting stuff. Huh.
Yeah, but as a director, the only thing he's really done of any import is Blade Trinity, and that was just, meh. So
Well,
we'll
the
see.
first Blade movie was really good.
but he didn't direct that.
But he didn't do that one.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
well.
As a director, he has 7 credits. His first thing is something called Zigzag from 2007, which was looks like terrible. Yeah, John Leguizamo, Wesley Snipes. I'm out. And then you had Blade 3, which had Wesley Snipes. I think he's just a fan of Wesley Snipes. I think that's.
I
what
was
this
just going to
is.
say, could we
So
possibly be
Wesley
seeing
Snipes
Wesley
as He-Man.
Snipes as Skeletor?
Yes. Oh.
Oh God.
Okay. Yeah. Wesley Snipes as Skeletor. John Cena as Man at Arms. The Rock as Adam. I'm in 100%. Let's do this. Let's make this happen.
I'm trying to think. Man at Arms. Who could play Man at Arms?
Ooh, he also did the Constantine TV series. That was not
No.
the greatest.
No, we're done. We're
Godzilla.
done. You know what isn't done?
What?
Margot Robbie playing Harley Quinn.
Oh, really? Why?
Because she recently announced the 4th movie that they're working on upcoming with Harley Quinn in it. So
Put out a goddamn movie. Just
Yeah,
put one
we-
out.
we have no plans for a Flash movie. We have some plans for a Green Lantern movie, even though they haven't introduced him. We're working on a Black Adam movie and 4 Harley Quinn movies. Yeah, I don't know. I think priorities are a little skewed on this one. So we've got the upcoming Gotham City Sirens, Suicide Squad 2. We've got what was the other one? Harley and Joker, and then she announced a secret Harley project that she's working on. Holy crap! Just get your shit together.
It
Black
could
Adam
be-
is such a racist movie.
Oh, right. Well,
I mean, really problematic.
Yeah.
Harley Quinn.
Starring,
I'm down for Harley Quinn,
Prince
but
Adam as the Rock playing Prince Adam in
we're going down a
Eternia.
bad
No,
road here. I
Wrong
think.
movie. Sorry, wrong movie.
All right, listen. I'm down for some Harley Quinn movies. Okay, so they supposedly have 4 in the works. Do you really have any anticipation that 4 are going to get made? No.
Yeah. Yes.
Two
sadly.
or more of these will be scrapped. So I'm fine with them talking about 4 Harley Quinn movies, which means we'll probably get 1. So that's fine with me. And as to them not having a Flash movie yet, Kevin, we know one thing we know about DC: ridiculously reactionary. They didn't want to make more Harley Quinn until they came out with Suicide Squad and everybody loved Harley Quinn. So now that we've seen Justice League and everybody loves The Flash, now we're going to be talking about 5 Flash movies. So that's just how it goes with DC.
Flash
super
point,
reactionary, yeah.
Flash rounded corner, Flash hairpin turn. No, I'm out. I'm out.
Flash does Quentin Tarantino's
Flash
Star Trek
plane.
movie.
Yeah.
They
Get Tarantino on the next Flash movie.
with
I would
Adam
definitely
from
watch
Eternia.
it if there's a lot of blood and somehow there's like samurai swords in there because Quentin Tarantino did it or something like that.
You know what? We definitely need more samurai in the DC universe. Let's make this happen.
Like
So
Samurai Batman?
the trailer just came out
Boom.
for Batman Ninja.
You're welcome.
Yeah, with Japanese trailer, English subtitles. Actually looks kind of cool. I always like when they
Okay.
do this like reimagining of heroes in different cultures, and this is just spectacular.
So good.
I'm excited.
I'm so
really
excited.
excited for this.
Oh my god, the voice acting is fantastic. The anime style is a newer anime style with using computer generated things. So it could go one of two ways, where I think we're far enough into our quote unquote future of anime styles where this is going to look good, because back when they used this sort of style, a lot of times it was only for certain scenes and it didn't really look that great, or it didn't really, connect well. But this style, I think we're far enough into anime, and I think we have enough good people working on it that it's going to look really good. I don't know. The story's pretty compelling. We're going to see some token, anime tropes, of course, because they're in every anime, but it looks fantastic. I'm super excited. Ninja Batman.
No, I think this is going to work out real well. This is definitely something I'm going to find and watch when it comes out, which I haven't done for a lot of the DC
Joker
stuff
has a long green, like, stereotypical Asian guy mustache. How is this not a problem? What am I missing here? Because
it's anime, man. I don't know.
White,
they're all speaking Japanese.
What is happening?
Why is Batman speaking Japanese? I don't know.
No, it's very confusing to me. I watched about 45 seconds of it, and I got very confused, and I turned it off because I no longer wanted to be confused. That's kind of my general reaction to this. It's thoroughly confusing.
You just take. Let's say this is an alternate reality,
right?
Where so and so happened. They're in Japan now. Speaks Japanese.
And then there was like Geisha Quinn. It was all very
right. It's all alt reality stuff.
Lean into
it's super fun.
It's fine.
I don't know. I think people are going to eat this up because people have been making art stuff like this all for as long as Batman's been going. Like, everybody loves their favorite superhero as whatever they can think of, and they always do these sort of art styles or cosplay of their superheroes, how they want them how they see their superhero, how they want them. So, like, this is probably just a really cool passion thing where, hey, let's see what can go down. Let's make Batman an anime. Let's put Joker in there and some of Batman's friends, quote unquote, and let's see what goes down. And I'm totally about it.
No, Batman.
This, I've seen a lot of stuff like this before. Jules, you just mentioned anime, but in fan art too, there's like a steampunk Star Wars that is just absolutely spectacular. If people listening haven't seen that, Google it. It's amazing. Absolutely spectacular.
And I'm sure people have done this whole samurai ninja Batman in their cosplay somewhere. Like, this is not a new thing, I'm sure. This is something really cool.
And as far as the alternate reality thing goes, it's a superhero movie. You like, that happens. You see a lot of that where you have different stories. We saw this in X-Men, where a lot of what happened in the X-Men movies, according to Logan, didn't happen. And so that's true too. We're going to, I'm sure, see another version of that when it is announced next week that Disney has acquired Fox and we get Marvel acquiring back their properties.
It's coming.
Because it's coming. Apparently some sort of deal has been reached, according to insiders. So we could hear about it as early as next week and figure out what's going on with it. But this could mean we get Fantastic Four and the X-Men in Avengers 4? That'd be really cool.
A lot of people are saying Avengers versus X-Men, and I don't know if I feel that or not, because it could go really bad, but it can go pretty good.
But the AVX storyline in the comics was pretty decent. I'd watch that movie.
But also, if it's Marvel, because now it's real Marvel, it's not X-Men Marvel, it's going to be good. Because they won't let it be bad. This is, I said this when we talked about this originally and the last time, and then the last time before that this is nothing but good for Marvel fans. And, I know obviously there's a lot of, Disney's got its thing. I mean, Disney does its thing really well, and people are big fans of Disney. So anytime Disney is going to, but you know what I mean? Like, amongst Disney fans, they're like, oh, Disney's great. But there's also a ton of haters out there when they are starting to acquire properties that people have a different impression of,
Sure.
So there's always a little Disney hate in there. But Twitter had this news in there. What do they call it, Jules? Impressions, reactions? Like, what's that little Twitter news thing where it's like everybody's reacting to this?
Twitter moments.
Twitter moments.
Yeah, there you
go. So
they
had it. Yeah, they had it in their Twitter moments last night, and I don't really look at that very often, but it's a big headline for us.
Mm-hmm.
So but anyways, I'm scrolling through it, and it's like, hey, this is pretty much universally positive reaction. Like, everybody was really digging the idea of getting these, wayward Marvel properties back under the correct umbrella.
Getting them
so we
away
can do
from
what's
Fox.
Right about it. Yeah, pretty much.
Like, give me that. Like taking your toys, like give me that back.
That's mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this would mean that Marvel basically owns everything that they own, again, except for exclusive rights to Spider-Man,
Right.
which they are sharing with Sony, so that's fine. They can make whatever movies they want. Sony's going to distribute it. The same thing with Hulk. Universal apparently owns the solo Hulk movies. Marvel can put him in another movie, but they can't make their own without Universal distributing it. And apparently Namor is in this same group, the Submariner. I mean, I guess nobody cares about him.
Nope.
Yeah, he always plays a weird good bad guy in the comics. So he's easily replaced. So no hurt there. So it's Spider-Man and Hulk, which they've been working around. Great. That's perfect.
Yeah,
let them do what they do. Like apparently Marvel is putting out a podcast, a Wolverine podcast starring Richard Armitage?
Mm-hmm. So he's gonna be Wolverine, Logan, or whatever, and it's gonna be the sort of story that it's going for is there's like these string of deaths or murders or something going on, and it's sort of looking like Wolverine's behind it. But first I want to go back and talk about how they're releasing a podcast, which is really cool, from Marvel. Right? I think it's going to be the first one ever from Marvel, and I really love audio. I mean, that's mostly what I consume because I'm usually doing something else, but I always listen to podcasts. But this is something a little different. Hopefully get more people onto the idea of audio. But I mean, people have been doing it for the longest time. I know, just as a Doctor Who fan, Doctor Who, they've been doing a ton of audio dramas with past doctors because, the older doctors, they're old already. I mean, you can tell by their face that they're old, but their voices are still fairly young, the same as it was when they were the Doctor. So they're doing their own little stories again in audio form, and it's super cool. They have like the fifth Doctor doing, facing the Daleks again in an audio drama. So like those things are really cool for fans of, different IPs, and to get Wolverine on a podcast and doing a whole thing. I think it's going to be like a mystery sort of deal, and then
so like an audio drama is what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's probably going to be like an audio drama with a Wolverine in it. Something like that. I think.
Apparently it's a Stitcher Premium exclusive, at least to start. So it's going to come out in the fall 2018.
Okay.
I'm sorry, spring 2018.
Who knew that was a
and
thing?
Then
Sure.
In the fall, it's going to go widespread.
We're on Stitcher Premium, Tim. You didn't know that? Nerdy Things Pod.
I didn't know that
They
that
release
was a
it,
thing.
The new episodes release a month later for Stitcher. I don't know, whatever. Fucking
Anyways.
a month earlier for Stitcher Premiums.
I'm looking up
doesn't sound like a
Richard
good thing.
Armitage here.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Could this be a precursor? Is this like an audio audition? Could you see him as Wolverine in a cinematic role?
I don't know. I don't
So
think so.
he's 46. So they're not really doing themselves any favors in terms of getting younger, but I don't necessarily think that's why they were phasing out Hugh Jackman. I just think Hugh Jackman was done. So I don't think their goal was like, we need to get younger at Wolverine. I think Hugh Jackman was just like, guys, I've been playing this role for like 15 years. Let's do a good swan song, which they did, and let me get out of here. So if their objective isn't exclusively to get younger, would you see this guy potentially as a Wolverine replacement?
He'd be fine. I think he's too tall for actual Wolverine. I mean, I realize Hugh Jackman was too tall, and he pulled it off. But I think if Marvel does it, I think they're going to definitely go with the shorter, stockier, hairier, Canadian.
In early X-Men, he was super like squat, like super small and thick, thick.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's cool.
So Kevin, that's what you're looking for out of your next Wolverine. You want someone that's more physically appropriate for the comic role.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, you know what? Because I don't see Marvel going comic book accurate on the costume. I just don't see that being 100%. So if you're not going to do that, then I feel like they got to go with body type, and they got to go with someone who's at least going to approximate what he was in the classic, representations of Wolverine. So that shorter at least than all the other heroes. So you got to get someone that's at least, half a head shorter than Tony Stark, and just.
But he's not tall, so that's a problem.
Beef him up.
Yeah, it's gonna be a problem.
I know. I'm aware. That's why I said half a head, not a full head.
What do you like? Who would you think? What's some of your ideas here?
I don't know. Danny
How tall's
DeVito,
John
maybe.
Cena? Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart as Wolverine.
Kevin Hart. Yep, definitely. No, I don't. I honestly don't even know. I think they'd probably have to go with someone sort of under the radar, and just. I don't know. It'd have to be a deep cut to get someone just right. I can't
Tom
think
Cruise.
of any big name actor.
Tom Cruise is Wolverine.
There's always
no,
on
not so much.
stunts.
Not so much.
Maybe no. No,
I don't think
so.
I'm ready for another Wolverine yet. I mean, through the audio medium, sure, I'll take it, but I don't think I'm ready for, coming off of fucking Logan, which is such an amazing movie that we just saw this year. Seems
and that's
really
the other
far
side of
along.
it, is that if Disney acquires the X-Men, Disney makes the right choices in almost every case. They know what they're doing most of the time.
Except
apparently they're removing the Frozen short from the front of Coco because apparently everyone hates it.
everybody
So,
hated it. There was no
everyone.
good to come out of this short. This,
No, I mean, I
this
think we talked
22-minute
about it.
short. Yeah.
It's too long. It is. It was supposed to be a TV, like a half-hour TV show. It should have been a half-hour TV show. It shouldn't have been adding almost a half hour to a movie for children when children can't sit still in the movies anyway. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. You shouldn't be bringing your small child to any movie theater regardless, but parents are going to do that, and I can't hit every parent. And my hand would get tired. So...
it should have been, it should have been something to go on, something like CBS or NBC or something, just like a short closer to Christmas, because apparently it's Christmas theme. He's trying to find Christmas or whatever, and everybody was super mad about it. I think I was looking on Twitter to actually see. Okay, maybe some people like it. Maybe let's check it out. I mean,
it wasn't terrible, but it was long. Like I didn't mind
everybody
it,
was complaining.
I like 6 times while we're watching it, I was like, okay, it's gonna wrap up any second now. They're gonna, nope. Okay, we've just opened up a whole nother mystery.
But yeah, I think this week it started, right? Where I think they said it was like effective almost immediately within the week or so. That
certain one, I think it was actually as of the 7th. So I think it should be tomorrow that it's officially gone from all.
Okay, dang. So if you want to go see that Frozen short, you better go fairly soon and hope they haven't got it.
That's the big draw for you.
Got to it.
Hey guys, all right, I got to backtrack because I'm still on the uptake. I have 3 legit Wolverine candidates. We need to vote on them on Twitter because Wolverine's coming. Okay, they're taking over X-Men. Why would they not have the key character? So Disney's going to cast. So I've got long shot, Devin Murray, who played in Harry Potter, the little Seamus Finnegan.
Okay.
Little kid, little wider. He could bulk up. He could totally bulk up. He's got a little kind of a gruff look to him. So, all right, long shot, Devin Murray. Not so long shot, Dave Franco.
Okay.
Short and built.
Yeah.
Josh Hutcherson.
Okay. He's not manly enough.
That's the one.
Sorry. No.
Dude, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
he's gonna grow some stubble. That dude's got a thick neck. That I'm telling you, Josh Hutcherson is Wolverine. He's your next Wolverine.
No, I don't see it. He's
happening.
too much of a nice kid. I can't see him.
He's an actor.
I know.
This is what he does. He plays a part other than himself. Josh Hutcherson is your next Wolverine. But let's put those 3 out on Twitter. See what people think.
But even when he was trying to be a hard ass in Hunger Games series, I was still like. Oh,
but PETA was never
really
a hard
cute.
Ass. That's the thing, though. PETA was never. It was never even in the books. That wasn't his character. Well, yeah, but that's the character. It's a guy who's not a hard ass trying to be a hard ass.
Okay. Taron Egerton. He's the right height.
He's the right. I'm sure you looked up how tall
he's the right
is.
height. He's 5'10", and he needs to be just a little bit.
That's
beefier,
too tall,
but
dude.
I think they can do it. No, he's fine.
I looked at actors under 5'7", man.
I know. I'm trying. Listen, it's a stretch, but everybody else that looks the part is like 6'2". So
I love Taron Egerton, but there's too many other movies I need him to play in because he's awesome.
Sure.
So, but I want Josh Hutcherson
He's 5'10".
Josh Hutcherson or Dave Franco. Those are my guys.
I'm gonna
Right
go with
there.
out of all those, Dave Franco. I would definitely like to see Dave Franco.
Fine, Dave Franco. I mean, Tom Hardy. He's 5'9".
Yeah. So isn't why can't I think of Iron Man's real name? Not Tony Stark.
Tony
Shut
Stark?
It's Tony Stark. Iron Man's real name is Tony Stark.
up. Yeah,
Whoa,
I know. You know what I'm talking
You heard
about.
it here first.
What the heck is his name? This is driving me crazy. Help me.
Robert Downey Jr.
Thank you. Robert Downey Jr.
problem.
is only like 5'8". So if you're really talking about somebody who needs to be shorter than Robert Downey Jr., it's got to be Peter Dinklage if you really want it to be someone shorter. But
Let's go. Let's see that.
But in his Iron Man suit, he's taller. And
okay,
then
so
it would
we still
work.
got to stick around 5'8", 5'7".
You're right. I mean, he's only 5'9", but that's fine. We can make this work. It's called the magic of television movies.
What about that guy Ansel Elgort from Baby Driver?
No.
I really want him in
Yes.
another one.
Oh, he's going to be busy doing the sequel to Baby Driver.
Okay.
That they're working
Yeah.
on, apparently, because Edgar Wright let the beans spill and said it's already in the works.
It's
And
moving
they're
fast.
hammering out
We're
the
doing
Spilled
it.
his beans?
We're gonna fast track it.
Finally
He
spilled
his
his
beans.
beans, yeah.
There's beans everywhere. Just
So
look out for those beans.
Tim, in our little private message thing, you're. It seemed like you didn't want that to happen.
No.
No. Why?
No. Because
Okay,
it was
moving
a
on.
great movie. It was a fantastic
was.
movie. It
So,
was
of
one
course,
of the best.
Why?
It was one of the
why
best
wouldn't
movies of the
they,
year. It
you
was
know-
unique. The reason why it was so good is because it was unique and it stood on its own. We are in a society, especially where it pertains to film and TV, that when something's good, the assumption is that we want/need more of it. When one thing that makes things great sometimes is because it was great in that moment, and the more you get of it, the less great it becomes. I love that movie. I want it to stand on its own so 10 years from now, 15 years from now, people can be, hey, remember that movie Baby Driver? Wasn't that awesome? Not, hey, remember the Baby Driver series? It was really cool. The third one wasn't so great, but the first two were awesome. I don't want that conversation to happen in 2030.
So, Jules,
But
quick question:
Yeah. What?
where the hell would a sequel to this go? Like
Exactly.
in your mind, if you're advocating for a sequel to this, what's the story? Because I just don't see it.
No, and that's something that I thought of as well. Like, I definitely want more of whatever it was that happened. I mean, I don't know. First off, I would want another Scott Pilgrim movie before another Baby Driver movie. But there's no story to go along. Where can we go from this? It was perfectly bookended. It already, in my opinion, ended like 3 times, and it could have, latched off the last 10 or 15 minutes and ended a certain way. But
Yeah, I mean,
it did
I'm
end
not
like 3
saying it's
times.
not possible.
No,
But-
and he was gonna make, he wants to make as much money probably as he can, and he saw that everybody really loved this character or this movie, and he wants to work with the people again, or whatever the reasons he's saying that he wants to make another one of these. But
see, that's the thing,
mean-
Jules. You grew up in the culture of everything great needs to then become a franchise. Everything great then needs to become a sequel. There was some of this when Kevin and I were younger, but people back then actually made one-off movies and said, wasn't that great? And moved on.
see,
That's
I
it.
don't believe that, but I know that everybody else that's how the culture is now. Yes,
Exactly.
definitely. And why, did you really think they were going to leave that movie alone? Did you really
Yes.
think they were not?
Yes.
That's a lot of faith in humanity right now.
But I mean, even if we came back in 30 years and had a sequel, that'd be better. Like they did with Blade Runner. Like they did. Yeah, they did a trilogy of Star Wars, but then they didn't do anything else with Star Wars. No prequels or anything in the 90s until the Star Wars movies we got, 2 years ago. So, like 30 years in between is perfect.
with nothing else, right? In the
Nothing
late
else. There
90s,
were
early
no
2000s.
prequels,
They
nothing
never
else.
even
There's-
broached it in between.
Nope.
It was amazing.
Never even occurred to them.
Wow.
I mean, that's the way
That's a
you
long
do
time.
it. That is. I mean, it really is. They should have had something in between, but there was nothing. There were no prequels.
Sure.
But that might be a good way to go with this movie. But if Edgar Wright has an actual story that he feels needs to be told, fine. I'm just skeptical.
Apparently he does.
I don't see it coming.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Either he does or the studio says, we're going to pay you a crap ton of money, sir,
To make
if
another
you
one.
have an idea. Do you have an idea? I do. What do you know? For a crap ton of money, I got a few
So
ideas.
You know what would suck
It's
would be
got-
a prequel. That would suck.
Yeah.
That's
that
the
would
one thing I
suck.
would not get behind if it was a prequel.
No. It would suck even worse if it, like, I don't know, was about dinosaurs escaping an island again. That'd be
Oh,
that'd be weird.
Hasn't that been done a few times?
Has
A
it?
few times, and most of them, it's been awesome.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah. So, Tim, I think you're a little excited about the Jurassic World 2 trailer coming tomorrow /
Dude,
today for everybody listening.
Love Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is one of the great cinematic achievements of the 90s. You had CGI dinosaurs on a level that we had never seen that holds up. I saw Jurassic Park when they re-released it in IMAX a few years ago, and it held up.
Still pretty
The second
scary, yeah.
one was really cool. The third one, they didn't make a third one. That didn't happen. And then they came back with Jurassic World, and it was spectacular. And I want more. This is one of those situations where I want more. Give me more Jurassic stuff.
Worlds 2 sequel.
Parks, worlds, universes. Give me the Jurassic.
I mean, I'm with you. Honestly, back in the when 90s, early 90s, when the original one came out, there was all this press about the CGI dinosaurs, and the T-Rex was a file that was 50 gigabytes worth of information. And at the time, I was like, that is more information than exists on the planet. That's amazing. And now it's like, oh yeah, no, I need another couple of terabytes in my computer, but. Like, it was mind-blowing, and
They
looked
created
so real.
computers and applications to make that movie.
Yes.
It created the hardware and software that drove CGI through the new millennium.
Oh, it was groundbreaking and amazing. Even Jurassic World last year was just spectacular to look at. Everything about it was, I mean, CGI has come to the point where if it's done right, I can't tell when it's being used. I can't. And
that goes back to Star Wars, The Force Awakens. I wasn't even like connecting in my head that one dude was dead.
Yeah.
You know, when I watched the movie, it never even like crossed my mind that wasn't a real person, which makes no sense, but it just, it didn't cross my mind. That's how good it is now.
You're talking about Rogue One with the Grand Moff Tarkin, or are you talking?
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Rogue One.
Yeah,
Yeah, it just
but
never crossed my
still,
mind.
Honestly, like, everything about it is just great, and they're using that again for Jurassic World. I'm in. I'm excited for the trailer. Tim's at least going to do a reaction video for it. We're going to try to coordinate something, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, so on Thursday or Friday, go check out our YouTube, and we'll be talking about it. We do this podcast a little bit earlier than when you listen to it, just so we can edit it and stuff, but we will definitely have something up on our YouTube. You can find that at nerdythingspod.com, and that'll take you, go to a little drop-down box, and it'll say YouTube, and you'll get to our YouTube channel.
And guys, this is bringing us more Jeff Goldblum.
I mean,
What's wrong with that?
Right?
Nothing.
Nothing is wrong with that. Nothing.
More Chris
Nothing
Pratt,
at all.
more Jeff Goldblum, more Ron Howard's daughter, all kinds of cool stuff. Dallas
Yep.
Bryce. I can never get those in the correct
Bryce
order.
Dallas Howard.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want to say it. I know her name, but I can never remember which order it goes in. Too many names. Everybody. It's bringing. I can't wait. If Sam Neill was in it, I'd still be all in for that too. So.
Yep. Yeah.
You know what isn't coming, and I really wish this whole thing was just over with, and we could just like be like, oh, remember in 2017 when they wanted to do that thing? Man, that would have been fun. Dark Universe. What do you think about when I say Dark Universe again?
Yeah.
The crappy
It's
universe.
just
Did we
sadness.
decide that that's what we're going to call
sorry.
it?
There you go.
I
Crappy
can't. I
universe.
can't name any movies in that universe, Jules.
Okay.
How many movies are there?
Well, there's
one.
there's one, but
One.
you know it's gonna be a whole thing. So Guillermo del Toro, he passed on the Crappy Universe film because who wants to do one of these? Really, I'll do one.
Not
sure,
him. Not him. He
Get
does
me
not want to
Jules
do
from the Nerdy Things podcast. I'll make one. Why not? It'll be a step up for me.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm happy
nobody.
that he passed on that. That's not worth doing. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. You know, honestly, I like Guillermo. I like his visuals. I think he could have done a fine job with it, but I just think that, you know, like rats from a sinking ship, everyone should stay away from the Dark Universe.
Yeah.
Because all of the actors are leaving, all of the directors and producers are leaving. Everybody's just done with that one movie into this whole franchise. You know, this is the opposite of what they're doing with Baby Driver. This was, you know, originally planned as multiple movies. It's just going to be one instead of the opposite. So
They're gonna stop and just be like, well, yeah, this is the one Dark Universe. It could have been good, maybe. Nope.
Right? Nope, not at all. Not even a little.
But yeah, that's cool. I mean, I'm fine with it dying
happening?
down. Yeah,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
happening. Not.
Yeah.
I'd rather it not happen.
No Crappy
you know,
Universe.
We had one other thing that I forgot to put on the news this week. Bryan Singer left the Queen biopic that he was working on.
Oh, yeah.
With, was it Rami Malek?
Yep.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
From who? Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's that one role. What's the one?
Mr. Robot?
No, Night at the Museum. He's Ra.
Yeah.
Tutankhamun.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't even realize that.
Achman Ra.
Yeah.
In that. So
He
yeah.
also played that one guy in the video game.
Did he? I don't know what you're talking about. So
No,
anyway,
you would know. It was a recent video game that did a bunch of actors and stuff, and I really liked him in that game. But
nice. Yeah. But no, he is Mr. Robot. But I actually talked about this on the Dumb All Over podcast, which their episode should come out tomorrow. That has me on it, so you can check them out. That'll be down in the show notes. But
Need more
he
Kevin.
was fired from that because over Thanksgiving he went home. Apparently, there's been tension on the set, and he just never came back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done, guys. Sorry, I'm out. Bye.
Kevin, is this the first time this has happened?
This is not the first time this has happened, Tim. Apparently, this is a thing that he does. This is a move called the Bryan Singer. Yeah. So I don't know.
There's been
this is
several
like-
movies that he's just walked off of when they either get too difficult or are not going the way he wants. And this time, apparently, like he's on social media or publicly some interview really pissed about it because he's tending to a sick family member, and then as a result, he's not well because of the stresses of everything.
yeah.
But that would be
He
like,
was-
okay, I'd believe you if you hadn't done this several times before.
Sure.
So
Exactly.
you lose a little goodwill when this is a pattern as opposed to the one-off.
You
I
can't
just
have your
really hope...
appendix out 4 times.
Yeah, right? I just really hope that they finish it because I
Want
am
to
a
see it?
massive Queen fan.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
No,
in
no.
my mind, they are, if not the greatest band, well, they're definitely the greatest rock band ever in my mind, maybe the greatest band ever, but easily the most talented band ever. And I
Yeah.
just think the whole backstory about a guy who was a homosexual living in a decidedly heterosexual world, I just that all of what goes on behind the scenes there, I think, would be fascinating to see a little insight on. And I know Brian May was involved in this, so this is a lot of real stuff. This isn't something that they're gleaning from third-party sources. They've got inside on what happened behind the scenes, and I just would absolutely love to see this. And Malik, I think, will do a tremendous job playing
Oh yeah.
Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, that's what I
No,
heard, that
absolutely.
he was doing really well, that we had another Franco situation where he just kind of was super into the character, and he was definitely about playing, you know,
A
and
Jim
doing
Carrey,
it.
Andy Kaufman type situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking
No, they are definitely finishing it. Apparently, after they fired Bryan Singer, they are bringing in another director for the last 2 weeks, because that's
Yeah, it
all
was
they
just
got.
2 weeks. It was just 2
Just
more
2
weeks.
weeks. You couldn't suck it up for 10 working days. Jesus, come on, get it together, Singer.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
we'll see
no.
how that plays into what he does next or later on, or if people just don't want to work with him because it has happened multiple times. Like, this is a thing, because it is, definitely on how well you play with others in industries like this, and he's not playing well with people. So we'll see what goes on going forward for his career.
Yeah. Did you guys have anything else you needed to add to the news?
I don't think so.
I think we're good.
All right, then it's time for the main topic.
Main topic. All right, so guys, for the main topic this week, we had a really unique opportunity to speak with the director and producer of a upcoming documentary, an in-the-works documentary called No Roses on a Sailor's Grave. This documentary is centered around the story of a World War II era soldiers. And the intriguing thing about this is there's a young 20-something conflict archaeologist named John Henry Phillips. Now, a conflict archaeologist, as I understand it, is one who studies and researches and digs for information about conflicts, wars, things of that nature. Right?
I thought he just started fights. Just went around digging
that makes
up
more
things and
sense.
hitting people.
Yeah. So when you think of an archaeologist, you either think of Indiana Jones, which is a caricature, or you think of documentaries you've watched with stuffy, older, aging academics who speak slowly or with weird affectations. But what we have here is a young man who was a former rock star who just has a tremendous interest and knowledge on this topic. And from speaking with the director, Daniel Oron, I'm sorry, speaking with Daniel Oron, this young kid just has a real way of connecting with the previous generation. And, when you get into a group of guys that is known for being kind of closed off about their emotions and past, that John has a way of bringing that out in them. And he specifically befriended a older gentleman named Patrick, who was the veteran of a specific ship that went down, lost most of the crew members and everything on there. And John made the surprising commitment to Patrick that he could find the ship. And he doesn't know how he's going to find it. He doesn't have specific training in underwater exploration, but it's the determination and the passion for this that really makes this an interesting project. And we really had a lot of fun talking to Daniel about his background, which is really interesting as a director and visual effects artist in cinema. Some of the things he's doing now, but more on topic, the documentary that they are hoping to finish as soon as possible. So let's get into checking that out.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is Kevin from the Nerdy Things Podcast. I am joined by Tim. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Kev.
And this week we have a special guest. Tim, would you introduce him for us?
All right. Yeah, guys, we have a director, producer, been involved in the film industry for quite some time, working on an exciting project, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. Daniel Oron. Daniel, how are you today?
Good morning, guys.
Yeah, so we are recording remotely today, doing a little different kind of thing. Jules had a technical snafu, and he's not able to join us, so it's just me, Kevin, and Daniel. And Daniel, why don't we just start off? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind? Kind of where you grew up and that kind of thing, and what you're doing with your life these days.
Yeah, the Cliff's Notes version.
Got it. It's a good thing I'm only 18. All right. My name is Daniel Oron. I am a filmmaker, executive producer, and director. I grew up, was born and raised in Israel, spent a few years in the States back and forth on and off due to my father's work that took us into the U.S. a couple of times. And in about 2000 and something, trying to remember exactly when, I moved to Toronto, Canada, to pursue filmmaking and television making. I am a former visual effects supervisor. I guess you'd call it a recovering cinematographer. And by day, I run a television company called Go Button Media with Natasha Ryan, my partner. And we make television series, one-off docs, streaming and web content, and on the side, we also develop unique documentary or scripted projects, much like the one that we're talking about.
Very nice.
So what was it that caused you to want to get into the film industry? How did that all start for you?
Well, I guess this will date me, but in the 70s, I saw a small movie called Star Wars. Not many people had heard about it.
Just a little film, right?
Yeah, with my dad, and I recall driving home on a couple of wheels. And I was hell bent on being a special effects artist. In fact, I did actually do that in the late '80s, early '90s. I worked in special effects, and then by way of also attending university for film and television production, we had to make movies and write scripts for films, and practice little vignettes and shoot things and edit things. And I fell in love with cinematography and with storytelling in general. And so I think I just kind of just took it to another kind of broader ring, sort of the outer ring of where I was before, obsessed with just sort of like the minutia of special effects and that particular angle of storytelling. Just took it to one kind of broader outside ring where I was more in charge of the whole shaping of the story.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously, Star Wars would definitely get you on that track if that was your thing growing up. I can't imagine wanting to do anything different than work on special effects with what that brought to the game. In the 90s, you said you worked in that capacity, and now you're working on some smaller projects, things up in Canada that maybe our listeners here in the States might not be as familiar with. But in the 90s, you actually worked on some pretty recognizable projects. Were there any particular one that was your favorite at that time?
Sure. I have worked in lots of different fields in film and television in sort of like a schizophrenic career, if you will. In the early days, I worked, as I said, in special effects, and then later in visual effects. Combining the two, I would go back and forth between that and, ironically, assisting directing, which is a completely different logistical side of the industry, and cinematography, like I said. And so during my time in Israel, when I was still completing my studies, a number of big films had sort of shown up in the neighborhood excuse me, to film. And the requirement to have a number of crew members that could speak multiple languages and interact properly with the locals and had a really keen understanding of sort of bigger budget films, the opportunity arose. And I was fortunate enough to work on a movie called The Insider as a second assistant director locally with a team that came over from the US. That's a Michael Mann film. It was a relatively short experience. I didn't do the entire film. That was shot in multiple locations, but the preparations and the intimate work with the senior team from the States really sort of opened my eyes to a different way of making movies. I don't think it was just budget. I mean, obviously it was a giant budget movie. There was I was always a Michael Mann fan. I've always been a Michael Mann fan. I think he's one of the foremost filmmakers today. And just the opportunity to work on it. And I think what happens is, for anyone that ever gets experiences like that or similar, but not necessarily has to be a celebrity Hollywood filmmaker, it's that first moment that you feel like you could achieve something, or that this isn't just something that happens in the news or far away off in magazines. This is real life. Everybody gets a chance to do this kind of stuff, and that if you stay the course and work hard and have a little bit of talent and get a little bit lucky, you can work alongside some of day-to-day greats. And so that really inspired me. There were other films that I worked on at the same time. I worked on a movie called Lansky with Richard Dreyfuss, and the late great John Alonzo, a cinematographer, favorite of mine from the early days of Hollywood. And that kind of just set my feet.
Awesome. Speaking of some of the greats, who's your favorite person you've worked with in the industry?
Oh my goodness. Well, my favorite people may not, in terms of, because now we run a television company, we actually make, TV that goes internationally. There's lots of people I may consider favorites to work with that no one would hear of because they're behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite person to work with in television today is my wife, Dasha Ryan, and that's not just the right answer.
Smart answer.
It's not
Very
just the
smart
right
answer. I like this
there you
guy.
go.
That's what he's doing.
It's not just the right answer. She just happens to bring an incredible complement of skills and personality to a production and to a development process that match mine and complement mine, and also just seems to have a unique ability to make everything we do a little bit better. In terms of, I'd say, that awestruck moment that I think you might have been hinting at, Michael Mann was definitely on that top of the list. I mean, again, he's a real human. So after you work with him for a few days, you realize, yeah, he's a real human. You can actually talk to him like a normal person. It was obviously amazing to have Al Pacino on set and people like that. But I got to say, I was really inspired by a producer called Peter Jan Brugge who worked on that film, and he's produced a lot of really interesting things, including he'd worked, I think, on oh my goodness, Glory, and
Last in the Mohicans.
yeah, they've all worked together on a lot of these, and
Yeah.
just his producer like. In that capacity, he was a producer, senior, basically executive producer on a film. And he would still run around asking every last production assistant locally that he'd maybe see for 2 days in his life how they were doing, if everything's okay, does anybody have water? He'd, just seemed to be everywhere he was needed. And that was really inspiring. And when I thought about that later in life, I realized, that's the kind of personality you want to be. The kind that, even though you are exceptionally senior and you can snap your fingers and something should happen, you care more about others and you see your role as doing whatever it takes to get this project to be the best, regardless of your stature.
That's really cool to hear, because you think like The Insider is, obviously the big one that kind of stuck out when I was, looking at your past work, and you think like an actor list like that, and obviously even the, production people, Michael Mann and the industry giants that you mentioned, that could be an intimidating experience or something that would cause anxiety. But to hear that you found it inspirational, that's kind of a cool behind the scenes look at how a young filmmaker's career kind of takes shape, meeting different people in the industry like that. So that's kind of cool to hear. So why don't you bring us to some of the stuff that you're working on right now?
So Go Button Media was formed 2.5 years ago. So we're pretty new on the block, but to put that in perspective, Natasha and I are both former showrunners, show directors, story editors, producers. We've created a lot of shows individually and together for other companies. And Go Button was formed 2.5 years ago when we pitched a bunch of shows. We are in production, just wrapped up production on a 3rd season of a show of ours called Mom vs. Matchmaker, which is currently in, I think, 78 or 80 countries. Which is a fun little matchmaking show. It's just wrapped up season 3 and we're in post-production. And we wrapped up a travel adventure series in the Philippines, starring Garrett G from the Bucket List family, who is of the fame of selling an app to Snapchat for some obscene amount of money, and then traveling the world. So we did an 8-part, half-hour travel adventure series there, where we were above, below water, on mountains, below mountains. It was a real adventure. And we are a little bit past halfway mid production of this feature doc with John Henry Phillips called No Roses on a Sailor's Grave, where we are following a young and very charismatic British archaeologist and conflict historian named John Henry Phillips, who is fulfilling a promise to find a sunken World War II ship for his friend Patrick, who's a 93-year-old veteran that was lost in the weeks following D-Day, and to also build a memorial to the crew and to the ship in Normandy.
So you didn't know him prior to this, to starting your work on this. How did you become involved with this?
John and I have been working...
Or I assume you didn't know each other.
We haven't known each other for that long. John so I'll back up a bit. In our capacity as a television company, we have a number of staff that work on development of ideas. So we're constantly cranking out new ideas, looking for new talent, trolling the internet to find amazing characters and people that are doing interesting adventures and see if we could make them into television shows. We met John because one of our stars here, Robin Webster, who works in development, found him as a potential archaeologist for a TV series, and we were really excited about. His because of his younger age, because of his personality, because of his knowledge and his skill set. It just seemed like such a great new opportunity to see talent that was, to a large extent, younger and slightly different personality than what you typically get in conflict archaeology or conflict history. And then we signed him up to do some show development on some other ideas, which we're still working on. And we keep tabs with him. And every once in a while, Robin would check in with him. And somewhere in the early part of this year, she kind of ran into my office with this exciting news that John had made some kind of interesting / potentially insane promise to a veteran who we had, at that point, had not known about. We knew about John, and we had talked to John. We'd shot some stuff with John. So I said, well, great. I always want to hear everything he's doing. See if we could find a way to fit this into what we're trying to develop TV-wise. I get on the phone with him. He tells me this story.
Cool.
And I asked him 3 questions, which have now become a bit legend within our company. So 1, do you know where the boat is? The answer was no. Do you know how to build a structure anywhere in, the shores of a different country from yours that's a permanent structure? He said, not a clue. Great. Well, as someone who shot a lot underwater, can you scuba? Like, start this process? And he said, I've never done anything like that in my life. So I said, great, and I'll be over with a camera, and we'll start filming soon.
Fantastic.
So essentially, this guy had an idea, and he said, yeah, I really have no idea how I'm going to get this done, but we want to do it. And you're like, yeah, I'm totally on board with that.
I think that's what drew us to it. There's a vast amount of World War II stories, personal, large scale, huge scope. Something about the way this one has shaped, and the response everybody's had to it is really unique. One is the fact that he's not an expert on how to do this. He's an expert on the subject matter, but he's not a diver. He's not a maritime archaeologist. He's not an archivist or someone that would know how to go about the admin of communicating with the French authorities to build a memorial in a town. And in fact, not much was known about the ship itself, or the crew and that particular moment in history. So I think what drew us to us was the fact that John is really not good at backing down from something he says he's going to do, and that to me makes a character that is worthy of us not backing down.
Yeah, I mean, that charisma is going to carry him a long way, I bet.
Yeah, he's still at that great phase, I think, in life. Hopefully it'll last, where the sky is the limit and all kinds of things are possible and obstacles are merely challenges. And that's really, really wonderful in someone that works in what can be a dry, process-driven field. I mean, I'm not an archaeologist, I'm not a historian, but I have worked alongside those people. And a lot of what they do day to day is not what you see in the highlight reel. And for someone like him to maintain that kind of passion, excitement, anytime we're texting or calling or on the phone or working together or filming in the field, it's just really, he doesn't have any moments where he's like, I just don't want to do this, I'm tired. And I think it's tremendous. I think it's something that's really going to be infectious to viewers that eventually see this on the screen.
Good. Well, I hope so. I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about documentaries, especially in the World War era, you think of older scholars and things of that nature. You don't think of a young man, and I think that's what does make this project appealing. So identifying that obviously was a big step for you guys. One of the things, as I've kind of read about this a little bit and seen some news reports, is they always key in on the relationship between John and his friend Patrick. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how they came to know each other and develop this kinship?
Sure, that was part of what was appealing to us. John, in his capacity, both when he was studying and also in his present professional life, has been part of a lot of trips to various D-Day and World War II memorials, celebrations, anniversaries. And in the process of doing that, he met Patrick, and he's got a great story, which I'll try and paraphrase, and hopefully I'll get it accurately, where, a number of years ago when he was at the D-Day memorials, and he was somehow left off the accommodations list, and a person told him, well, go knock on this guy Patrick's door because his family's taken over a house here in the town, and, he's got a spare bedroom. And so that's not exactly the way you want to meet a veteran in a professional fashion, but he did. And
right.
They formed just a really great bond. They were up drinking pints and talking about stories. And one thing that you'll see when the documentary is finished is John has an incredible backstory when it comes to his interest in conflict, modern conflict, and especially in World War II. His family was involved. His dad would take him when he was younger around the fields of various battles and skirmishes, and they would, find things once in a while and just sort of relive those moments of what it must have been like during some of those greatest moments of that generation. And so it's really part of his personality, even though he had a rock band career and other things he's interested in. And he's a normal, to be clear, he's a normal kid. I hate to call him a kid, but he's a lot younger than me. He's a normal dude. He's attractive. He's into girls and movies and cool TV and music, and he's a normal guy. But on the side, there's this kind of underlying, incredible, almost insatiable passion for World War conflict and just wanting a thirst for knowing more. So this relationship that developed with Patrick, he's got lots of great relationships with other veterans. He's got this ability to get a bit under their skin and become almost like somewhat trustworthy as family almost. And one of the things we talk about with this film is that in some ways it's become almost sort of like a connecting, poem or love song, if you want to call it, between generations that really don't talk about this kind of stuff. I mean, just to put it in perspective, like when I met Patrick, I was quite surprised at how different he was from how I thought he would be, because that generation was very stiff upper lip Victorian. They didn't talk about this stuff. He came back from incredible combat experiences and just went right back to their lives. And John has this.
Yeah, that's got to be tough.
Yeah, and I've served in the military, so I understand some levels. Nothing like what he's been through. But they just didn't share. They just went right back to work. If you were a postman, you went back to being a postman. That was just it. After seeing this incredible shift in this universe, John has this ability to sort of get these stories out of these people, and this particular relationship with Patrick formed into a friendship that, although sounds relatively unlikely, is exceptionally tight and beautiful. And it turned what would normally be, your average giant blue chip documentary, big 3D graphics and archival footage and booming narrative voice and like a bunch of experts in a chair in front of like books, into we joke, it's almost like a coming of age road trip movie.
Yeah, it seems it. Just even the clip on Indiegogo was, you really convey that. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up. So where can people go to find out more? Where can people go to help? What can people do?
Well, there's a couple of phases that we'd love for people to do. We are, so we have an Indiegogo campaign to help raise financing for a number of elements of this. We are halfway through filming, and GoButton is committed already to finish this one way or another. But one of the reasons that we pursued this in a non-traditional fashion is because the process with broadcasters and various other exhibitors can take months to sometimes years to get a commission. And once we came attached to the story, we really wanted to finish this in Patrick's lifetime, or do our best for that. And he's 93 and he's going strong, but that's a generation that's a lot older, right? And every day you tune into one of these Facebook groups and there's another person that's passed away. So we decided to jump in and start filming it ourselves, which is quite costly, and we're committed to seeing it done one way or another. And we already have a dive trip planned for April where we've located the boat. We're going to go dive and shoot it. And then we also have an unveiling ceremony for the memorial that has been committed to in June. But we would love some help finishing this, and that takes money, money and support. So we have an Indiegogo campaign that you can go to, and on it you just look for No Roses on a Sailor's Grave, and it'll take you to our campaign. We could use all the help we could get. We've got, I think, another month on it. Any funds that go to it go to helping finish the documentary and also helping fulfill the memorial for Patrick and for the ship. We are, exceptionally grateful for where we're at in that, but there's a long way to go in it. I think if you just Google also No Roses on a Sailor's Grave, you'll probably find our Indiegogo campaign. And also, if you go to our website, gobuttonmedia.com, you'll see a link to it. It plays the trailer, and then there's also a beautiful sort of write-up on it. And if you can't help financially, just reposting it, telling everybody about it. We've gotten a lot of donations from people just heard about it from somebody else, and
the
story just kind of resonated. So yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, well, Daniel, I gotta tell you, it's this isn't something that would normally be in my wheelhouse, but the story that you have shared with us, the characters involved, and kind of this bridge between generations is a very compelling story to me, and I'm sure it will be to our listeners as well. So we would encourage everybody. We'll provide all the information in our show notes. So we'd really encourage everybody to go and check this out and see if you feel a passion for it and you can help them finish this, because it's really, in my mind, seems like a worthwhile project. So, Daniel, we really appreciate you joining us today and spending some time and what you were willing to share with us.
Thank you so much, and just the fact that this resonates with the generations, I think, is almost as meaningful as anything else, because it means that Patrick's story works for people that are 50, 60, 70 years younger.
Right.
All right.
Very, very cool. All right. Well, thanks, Daniel. Thanks to our listeners, and we will talk to you guys soon. And
thank you, guys. Have a great one.
All right, guys. That's the end of the episode. Thank you for listening. Really appreciate it. And don't forget, you can reach us on most social media at Nerdy Things Pod. That's Nerdy Things POD. You can send us an email at nerdythingspod@gmail.com. Visit our website, nerdythingspod.com, for the latest nerdy news, updated daily, and links to our merch for shirts and more. Again, there's going to be a new design every week. There's some old designs from everything that a lot of people like the Nerdy Things design, which is really cool. A lot of people are sporting that one, but there's gonna be a new design for each episode. We had the No More Flashpoint this week. We have a sort of a rose sort of design. Go check that out, and that's gonna be up, and for a discounted price pretty much every day. $14 t-shirts. Just go get them.
They don't know.
I don't know when
it's just always
the
on sale.
sales go on these days, but whatever. They don't.
I think the entire month of December is a sale, contrary to what they want you to believe.
December, go get your stuff. Go get your Nerdy Things merch. Links to our YouTube and to watch the podcast episodes. We do this in video, not just audio. If you're listening to it in audio, thank you so much. But if you want to watch us and see our faces and all the expressions that we make while we do it, we have a YouTube channel. You can go to our website to find that. Our Patreon for extra content like bloopers and early access to stuff. The podcast comes out at least a day early for everybody on Patreon. We have videos that we release on YouTube earlier, a day earlier for everybody as well on our Patreon. So become a patron. It's only $1 to get all that early access stuff, which is pretty cool. And you can text us or leave us a voicemail at 978-78-NERDY. That's 978-786-3739. And we'll play them on the show if you leave us a voicemail or you text us. I know last week William gave me some shit for thinking that the Flash was the same as Daredevil, and I'm not the biggest comic book guy, and I made that mistake. That was my mistake. But we're not going to talk about how Tim mistook the gauntlet, the Infinity Gauntlet, for something else. Okay,
Michael Jackson's
cool.
glove, dude.
Whatever. Okay, just give me shit for that. Whatever. But
that was a comparison. Actually, that was a comparison that Chris Pratt made this week. Chris Pratt had this really long Instagram post when the Infinity War trailer came out.
Sure.
And he was like, when I was a kid, I thought, that I forget all of it, but he was talking about his comic book collection, and that's, one of the things that he wanted was to be a superhero. And he's like, all of these years later, I thought he was going to be a millionaire based on baseball cards and comic books. And he's like, neither of those turned out to be worth anything, but he says, if I pick out one particular edition, I can see that there was this Michael Jackson glove, and now I'm in that movie.
Awesome.
So how cool is that? So I didn't feel so bad when Chris Pratt compared it to a Michael Jackson glove. But
cool. But yeah, we read your text, we listen to your voicemails, we'll play the voicemails and all that stuff. You can even call in something totally unrelated to what we're talking about. You can tell us about your day, tell us about the nerdy thing that you did, video game you've been playing, whatever you want. Just call us 978-786-3739.
And also, guys, if you enjoyed the interview and you do feel some passion about their project, please go to their Indiegogo. We'll have that in the show notes. We'll have that all over the place because we feel that this is a really cool idea. So be sure to go to their Indiegogo and see if that's something you want to contribute some money to helping them finish that project.
Yeah, and there's some videos on their Indiegogo of them and the progress they made, and it looks really cool. It looks really interesting. So go check them out. I'd like to thank Adipsia for the use of his song, Friends Don't Let Friends Go to TGI Fridays. You can hear more of his music at adipsia.bandcamp.com. He just released a new album called Imbue.
And I'd like to thank the Bell Curve for the music we use under the main topic. Thanks, everyone.
All right. See y'all next week.
Later, guys.
Happy birthday.
It's my birthday. Woo.